Here's a hard truth. Many loving dog owners never hear soon enough. You can adore your dog with your whole heart and still be doing small things that quietly shorten their life. Not because you don't care, not because you're neglectful, but because some habits look normal, common, even loving on the surface, while slowly creating stress, pain, or health problems underneath. That's what makes this topic so important. Most of the biggest mistakes dog owners make are not dramatic. They happen in everyday life. Feeding a little too much because those eyes are hard to resist. Skipping mental stimulation because the dog already had a walk. Ignoring small changes in movement, appetite, sleep, or behavior because they don't seem urgent yet. Waiting too long for dental care. Assuming getting older is the same thing as being okay. These choices often come from love mixed with routine, and that's exactly why they're easy to miss. But dogs are incredibly loyal. They adapt. They hide discomfort. They keep showing up with wagging tails even when something is off. And sometimes, by the time the signs become obvious, the damage has already been building for months or even years. That is why this video matters. These 15 mistakes are not here to make you feel guilty. They are here to help you see more clearly. Because once you know what to look for, you can change the course of your dog's life in ways that are real, practical, and powerful. A healthier body, a calmer mind, less pain, more comfort, more happy years together. And maybe that's what being a great dog owner really means. Not being perfect, just being willing to learn, notice, and adjust before normal turns into harm. Because your dog is counting on you for more than love. They are counting on your awareness. And sometimes one corrected habit can become the reason they stay with you longer. Feel better and live the life they deserve. Here's one of the most dangerous mistakes loving dog owners make, and most of them don't even realize they're doing it. They take the dog for a long, energetic walk, come back home, and immediately fill the food bowl. It feels harmless, even logical. Your dog exercised, so now they must be hungry, right? But in some dogs, especially large or deep-chested breeds, that exact routine can raise the risk of gastric dilatation, volvulus, or bloat. A fast-moving emergency that can turn fatal within hours. Veterinary sources warn that vigorous exercise around mealtime, especially after a large meal or large amounts of water, is one of the known risk factors. VCA. So the safer habit is simple. Let your dog cool down first. After intense activity, give the body time to settle before feeding. Many practical veterinary sources recommend keeping dogs calm around mealtime and avoiding vigorous activity on a full stomach. And while water matters, the goal is not to deny water completely. It is to avoid frantic gulping right after hard exertion if your dog is one of the breeds at risk. Small pauses can protect a life. VCA. Mistake number 2 is, people normalize every single day leash pulling on a neck collar. A lot of owners assume it is just annoying or something dogs do, but repeated pressure on the neck can compress the trachea and contribute to breathing difficulty or neck injury. VCA specifically warns that when a dog pulls against certain collars, pressure is placed against the trachea and tracheal damage can result. That is why harnesses are often the safer choice. They distribute force across the chest instead of the throat. VCA. Then there's the water bowl. One of the most overlooked health risks in the home. A bowl left sitting day after day may look fine, but the FDA warns that pet food bowls and utensils can carry harmful bacteria and should be washed with soap and hot water after each use. At minimum, fresh water should be changed regularly, and the bowl should be scrubbed often enough that slime buildup and contamination never get the chance to become normal. A dirty bowl is not just messy. It can quietly turn into a health problem. U.S. Food and Drug Administration. Now let's talk about winter, because this one catches a lot of good owners off guard. Salted sidewalks and chemical de-icers may seem like a small issue, but they can burn paw pads and become toxic if licked off later. Veterinary guidance warns that de-icing salts and chemicals can irritate paws, and that pets may ingest harmful substances while grooming after a walk. That means the danger does not end when the walk is over. If your dog walks on treated roads or sidewalks, use booties or paw balm when possible, and rinse the paws as soon as you get home. That one habit can prevent pain you may never see until your dog starts licking, limping, or refusing the next walk. avma.org. And then there is the mistake that still breaks hearts every year, leaving a dog in the car just for a minute. avma's vehicle safety guidance is brutally clear. On a 70-degree day, the inside of a car can climb to more than 110 degrees, and cracking a window is not enough to protect a pet. Heat stroke can escalate fast, and dogs do not sweat the way humans do. By the time they are visibly distressed, organs may already be under serious strain. avma.org. What makes all of these mistakes so frightening is not that owners are cruel, it is that they are common. They happen inside ordinary routines: feeding after a walk, clipping on a collar, topping off an old water bowl, taking a winter stroll, running one quick errand. That is why this matters. Real danger in dog care does not always look dramatic. Sometimes it hides inside habits we stopped questioning a long time ago. VCA. But the good news is this: each one of these habits can be fixed. Wait before feeding after hard exercise. Use a harness instead of a neck collar for pullers. Clean the water bowl properly. Protect paws in winter. Never leave your dog in a parked car. These are not expensive changes. They are not complicated changes, but they can make the difference between a healthy life and a preventable emergency. VCA. If this opened your eyes, subscribe and stay with me, because the next mistakes are just as common, and some of them are even more dangerous than people think. Here's a frightening truth. Most loving dog owners don't hear early enough. Some of the biggest threats to a dog's long-term health are not dramatic accidents. They're everyday habits. Small things. Normal things. The kind of routines people repeat for years because they seem harmless. But over time, those habits can quietly lead to pain, disease, and a shorter life. And that's why this part matters so much. Let's start with the mouth, because this is where many slow-moving health problems begin. Veterinary sources report that over 80% of dogs over age 3 have periodontal disease. And that's not just about bad breath or yellow teeth. Oral bacteria can affect more than the mouth. Professional veterinary guidance warns that dental disease can contribute to problems elsewhere in the body, including the heart, liver, and kidneys. That's why brushing matters. VCA recommends brushing daily when possible, with at least 3 times a week as the absolute minimum, and many veterinary practices recommend regular professional dental exams and cleanings as part of preventive care. VCA. Then there's one mistake that still shocks people every year: feeding grapes or raisins. Even a small amount can be dangerous. ASPCA warns that grapes and raisins have been associated with acute kidney failure in dogs, and experts still do not have a known truly safe dose that works for every dog. That's what makes them so deceptive. Some owners assume one grape can't matter. But with this toxin, guessing is the dangerous part. If your dog eats grapes or raisins, the safest response is to treat it seriously right away. ASPCA. Now let's talk about weight, because this one sneaks up on people who love their dogs the most. Extra treats. Bigger portions. Less exercise in winter. A dog that looks a little chunky can still seem adorable. But obesity is not just a cosmetic issue. AKC cites research showing that being overweight is associated with a shorter lifespan by up to 2.5 years in some breeds. It also raises the risk of chronic inflammation, joint disease, and diabetes. A healthier goal is simple and practical. You should be able to feel the ribs without a thick layer of fat, and there should be a visible waist or abdominal tuck. If you have to press hard to find the ribs, your dog may already be carrying too much weight. American Kennel Club. And then there's the bone myth. A lot of owners still think giving a cooked bone is natural, even beneficial. But cooked bones are one of those classic old-school habits that can turn dangerous fast. VCA warns that cooked bones can splinter into sharp fragments, and those fragments can choke a dog, block the intestines, scrape the colon, or even puncture the esophagus, stomach, or intestines. So, if you want to give your dog something to chew, the safer route is not leftovers from dinner. It's using options your veterinarian considers appropriate for your dog's size, chewing style, and health history. VCA. And finally, one of the most common grooming mistakes of all: using human shampoo. It sounds harmless. It smells nice. It's already in the bathroom. But human skin is more acidic than dog skin, and both AKC and VCA warn that human shampoo disrupts a dog's skin barrier, strips away protective oils, and can leave the skin dry, irritated, and more vulnerable to infection. Dogs need products made for canine skin chemistry, not ours. So, if your dog keeps getting itchy after baths, it may not be the bath itself. It may be the product. American Kennel Club. And maybe that's the hardest part of all this. None of these mistakes come from lack of love. They come from habits, assumptions, and old advice that sounds harmless until the consequences show up years later. But the good news is this: every one of these habits can be changed. Brush the teeth. Keep grapes and raisins completely out of reach. Watch the waistline, not just the scale. Never offer cooked bones. Use dog-specific shampoo. These are not giant changes, but over a lifetime, they can mean less pain, fewer emergencies, and more good years together. If this helped you see your dog's health a little more clearly, like the video, subscribe, and share it with another dog owner. And in the comments, tell me which of these mistakes surprised you the most. Here's a mistake many loving dog owners make without ever meaning to. They focus so much on physical care that they overlook the dog's emotional health. But stress, fear, frustration, and lack of choice are not small problems. Over time, they can shape behavior, weaken trust, and even affect the body. Veterinary and behavior research increasingly shows that chronic stress in dogs is linked to immune suppression and poorer health outcomes, which means the emotional environment your dog lives in is not separate from wellness. It is part of wellness. PMC. Take yelling, for example. Many people think raising their voice will make their message clearer, but dogs are far more sensitive to tone, posture, and emotional intensity than to the actual sentence itself. Studies show that dogs respond strongly to human vocal style and emotional prosody, and behavior experts warn that harsh tone and confrontational body language can trigger stress signals like lip-licking, whale-eye freezing, or avoidance. So when you yell, your dog is not learning a moral lesson. More often, they are learning that you become unpredictable when things go wrong. And once fear enters, the relationship trust begins to erode. PMC. The same problem happens when people punish fear. A dog trembling during thunder, hiding from strangers, or panicking at the vet is not being stubborn or dramatic. They are afraid. Fear. Free guidance is very direct on this point. It is a myth that comforting a frightened dog will reward the fear. In reality, gentle reassurance, distance from the trigger, and calm support help the dog feel safer. AKC and Preventive Vet both emphasize that fearful dogs learn best when their fear is reduced, not punished. So if your dog runs to you during a storm, that is not the moment to scold or toughen them up. It is the moment to become the safest thing in the room. Fear-free, happy homes. Then there's a quieter mistake: keeping a dog physically controlled all the time, but mentally undernourished. Dogs do need walks, yes, but they also need opportunities to sniff, explore, choose directions sometimes, and use their brains. AKC notes that sniffing is powerful mental stimulation and can tire a dog in ways pure marching does not. So if a dog is always kept on a short leash, rushed from point A to point B, and never given safe chances to decompress, Whether on a long line, in a secure yard, or in an enclosed field, that dog may become frustrated, understimulated, and emotionally flat. A tired body is not always a fulfilled dog. Sometimes what looks like home is just boredom with nowhere to go. American Kennel Club. Another mistake is ignoring sudden behavior changes because it's probably just mood. Dogs are stoic. They hide pain. That means behavior is often the first place illness shows up. VCA notes that pain can appear as withdrawal, reluctance to jump, growling when touched, changes in sleep, reduced play, or even aggression. A dog who suddenly resists being picked up, snaps during grooming, or seems strangely quiet may not be becoming difficult. They may be hurting. And the longer owners interpret pain as disobedience, the longer that dog suffers in silence. VCA. And finally, one of the most heartbreaking mistakes of all, treating a dog like a prop, a toy, or a patient little creature who should tolerate anything. Dogs are sentient beings with boundaries. Fear. Free guidance for kids and pets stresses that children should be supervised and taught gentle, respectful handling, not allowed to climb on, grab, or overwhelm an animal. AKC body language resources are equally clear. Wail, eye lip, licking, looking away, pinned ears, and a stiff body are all early please stop signals. When those signals are ignored, bites can seem to come out of nowhere, when in truth, the dog asked politely many times before that moment. Fear-free, happy homes. So maybe the deeper lesson in all of this is simple. Your dog does not need a louder owner, a stricter house, or a life of constant control. Your dog needs to feel safe, understood, and respected. The healthiest dogs are not just the ones who are fed and walked. They are the ones whose fear is heard, whose pain is noticed, and whose boundaries actually matter. And once you start seeing behavior that way, you stop asking, how do I make my dog obey? And start asking the much better question, what is my dog trying to tell me? And maybe that is the part that matters most. After everything we've talked about, the food, the walks, the stress, the health signals, the boundaries, the habits that seem small but aren't the real message, is not be a perfect dog owner. The real message is much more human than that. It is this: once you know better, you can do better. And for a dog that can change everything. Because loyalty is not built only through love. It is built through respect. A dog becomes deeply loyal when they learn over and over again that their person listens, that their fear will not be mocked, that their pain will not be ignored, that their body will not be pushed past its limits just because it is convenient for us, that their needs are not treated like inconveniences, but like information, important information. That is what trust really is. Not just feeding them on time, not just buying toys, not just taking cute photos. Trust is when your dog learns, my human pays attention when something feels wrong. Trust is when they know, I don't have to shout, panic, or shut down to be understood. Trust is when their boundaries are noticed before they have to defend them. And honestly, that kind of relationship is what every good dog owner wants, even if they don't always know how to build it at first. The truth is, most mistakes don't come from cruelty. They come from habit, from old advice, from things we've seen other people do, from not realizing that a dog's body and mind experience the world very differently than ours. That's why guilt is not the goal here. Awareness is. Because guilt makes people freeze, but awareness helps people change. So maybe the best thing you can do after this video is not try to fix everything overnight. Maybe it's smaller than that. Maybe it's choosing one thing and starting there. Maybe it's changing the collar to a harness. Maybe it's finally taking dental care seriously. Maybe it's washing the water bowl more often. Maybe it's stopping yourself the next time your dog shows a subtle please stop signal. Maybe it's noticing that your dog's behavior changed and asking whether it might be pain instead of attitude. Those small decisions matter more than people think. Because dogs live inside patterns. And when the pattern changes, their life changes. a little less fear, a little less discomfort, a little more safety, a little more peace. And over time, those little things become a life, a better life, a longer life, a life where your dog feels understood, not just managed. So this is really an invitation, not to be flawless, not to become anxious about every little thing, but to make a quiet commitment. I will pay closer attention. I will respect what my dog is telling me. I will keep learning. That promise matters, because your dog has already made theirs. They trust you. They follow you. They forgive quickly. They keep loving you even while adapting to your mistakes. And that kind of love deserves our very best effort in return. So as we end this video, maybe ask yourself one simple question. What is one thing I can do better for my dog starting today? Not next month. Not when life gets easier. Today. Because knowing better is not the finish line. It is the first step toward becoming the safe, wise, trustworthy person your dog already believes you can be.